All right, Charles, we are live, man.
All right.
How you doing today, bro?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good.
Yeah,
I, c-
Friday
I
good.
can, yes, I cannot complain. Actually, I had an amazing walkthrough with a client today, and first time home buyer. So yeah, no, anytime that happens for me, I get in an extra good mood because, again, as I've always told you, one of the things that I love is I love helping people, and when I get a chance to actually like, do that whole thing, and everybody's
Yeah,
like, it's good, it's good.
yeah. No, I get it, man. I get it. Okay, here comes Lisa.
Okay, guys, any better?
Oh yeah, it's a lot better.
Oh,
Lot better.
yay! Yay!
Yeah, it's a lot better. Oh my god, yeah. We're live, by the way, Lisa. We just started it off, and some of the people are gonna be like, "Oh, what's going on? What are they talking about?" It must be an inside joke, and it's definitely an inside joke. Before this, we had to work out some audio and stuff. So hopefully, you guys, the viewers, could let us know in the comments real quick if you guys can hear us loud and clear, or if there's any echoes, because that was our number one culprit. Was I'm not gonna call anybody out, but we were trying to kill the echo. Yeah, but I'm excited. I'm glad you were able to make it, Charles. I know that you and me were kind of talking about this for the past couple of weeks. Something came up on my end and so forth. So I'm glad you were still able to keep the schedule. I'm glad to have you on today, man.
Absolutely. Glad to be here.
Yeah, and you know Charles, right, Lisa?
I do not.
Okay, okay, okay. Our partner. Hopefully, I pronounced your name right. Says we sound great. Good. Thank you. So okay, well, I guess we could just have Charles kind of introduce himself real quick, just to get the ball rolling. Since you don't know who he is, the viewers probably do remember him from a live show we did a few months back. So just kind of do a quick intro again.
All right. Well, my name's Charles. I am the co-owner of Trifecta Home Services, and I am a certified home inspector. So I've been doing this for about 8 years. I've been in the trades for about 15. And yeah, biggest thing for me, I love doing inspections. I love helping people with one of the biggest decisions of their lives. And yeah, I love meeting new people every day and seeing different houses. It's amazing.
Yeah, man, your job. You're out there in the heat, in the
Oh,
rain, in
oh,
the cold.
yeah, yeah,
So like, I'm giving you props, and I don't think a lot of homeowners take the time to recognize what you guys really do.
yeah. Lately, the last few days too, it's been hot, and
Today
I
was
was doing
nice though.
today was nice. Today was nice. I actually took my clients outside and we actually talked outside a bit instead of like, let me go in the shade because it's too hot, So no, it's definitely been nicer today. Breezy
No, that's
too,
what.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's breezy today a lot. So that was pretty nice. But yeah, I met you, I'd say 6, 7 years now.
I think so, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. You were with CalPro. Ooh, Alexa's talking to us.
Yeah, she's already talking.
um, yeah, so I met you, I think about 6, 7 years ago. You were working for CalPro at that time, a home inspector that I use a lot. And you were awesome. I love your character. We just kind of jive, right? And then I had you on the show, just to kind of give a lot of your insight and share some value proposition with the viewers. So that's pretty cool how far you've came in. Now you have your own gig going on, Trifecta. So that's some
Yes.
awesome stuff.
Yes, no, I'm really excited about it. Great things with CalPro. We spent years and years growing things and getting things to a great place. And I got to a point where I just decided I wanted to branch out and do my own thing and have my own legacy. And that's kind of where we're at right now. So I'm just really excited to because the thing too is I was doing a lot of management, right? And so I wasn't able to get out with there with the clients like I was before. And that was the thing that's the biggest thing for me is actually having that interaction with people. And I missed it. I missed it a lot. And not that I hated managing people or anything like that. It was just it was different. and this is definitely a much better fit for me. This is what I was meant to do. This is what I've always loved to do, so that's why I'm really glad to be back at it.
No, man, I'm glad. I am glad I got you on the show today. Hopefully, we could share a lot more info about home inspections, what you really
Hmm.
do as a refresher. If there's any comments, you could probably answer some of those comments that people are curious about regarding home inspections. But before we do all of that, first things first, we like to kind of do like a quick market update on what's been going on. Today is Friday, August 18th. Happy Friday to everybody that is watching right now or watching later on down in the live streaming archives. Uh, we appreciate your time. And if you guys have any questions or comments, remember to just shoot them in the comment section down below in the live chat. We would love to answer any of your questions that you guys have for us today. But let's get going. I will go ahead and share my screen. Okay. There you go. There's that wonderful chart everybody loves to see, especially me and Lisa. Right, Lisa? Okay, let's see what's been going on this past couple of weeks. Look at that. Look at that. All right, so inventory did go up from last week. It's about 4% increased. New listings also went up. That's good to see. Almost 3% increase in new listings. Sold homes went down about 4%. Pending homes are up 0.5%. Not too shabby. From last month, inventory did increase, which is a good sign. We need more homes. 11% increase, that is. New listings are also up from last month, 11%. Sold homes are up almost 1%. Penny homes are also up almost 12% compared to last month, which is really good. So a lot of numbers are up this month. Yay. Now, of course, comparing the same month to last year, it is down. Inventory is down 48%. New listings are down 38%. Sold homes are also down 27%. Pending homes are down 20%. That is a lot. Okay. It's a big change. And that is definitely hurting us. Okay. Even though the last month looked good, we are still not on track compared to last year. Charles, I'm curious. Do you notice any shifts in your market, the home inspection industry, with this data going on? Do you feel it?
So last year, when I was working for CalPro still, there was still a pretty large, number of inspections that we were doing. However, we expected there to be even more than that, because if you compare that to 2021, it was even
Mm,
higher than that, right?
mhm,
So,
mhm.
we were ready to do a lot more. But as far as right now, inspections are actually still, pretty coming in pretty steadily still. And
Okay.
maybe when things were a little bit different before, when you'd constantly be hearing about, okay, well, we have these short contingencies and all that. What I've noticed lately is that the contingencies aren't as strict as they were.
Mhm.
And sellers have a lot more ways to kind of work with. They can do a little bit more than they used to be able to, where before they just kind of had to take whatever. um, so
Yep. You meant buyers, right?
yes, the other way around.
Yeah,
Yeah.
buyers.
Sorry.
So are you seeing more sellers ordering home inspections this time around?
Not in this area. It's I still do some pre-listing inspections from time to time, but it's still a vast majority is buyers out here in this area.
Buyers. Got it. Got it. Okay. You guys, you don't service the Bay Area, right?
I personally do not my company. I know that there's still a lot of other companies that do, but it's still the same. So basically, the it was all still the same. That there were still sellers that were selling their
Buyers,
homes.
buyers.
No sellers. There was a lot of
Oh,
sellers in the Bay Area. The Bay Area, so like Southern Bay Area, San Jose, most of it's still pre-listing, and then they would take that pre-listing inspection and they would use that, for
yeah.
the whole transaction. Yeah. And I mean, I've done that here. I feel like most of the local agents in this area just don't prefer to do that. And I still think it's a great idea because you save a
Yeah.
lot as far as like time, and especially in these situations where there's a lot of things that can be going on. You save a lot of time by knowing what's going on, especially if you're just randomly deciding you want to sell your house. You haven't had anybody look at it in years. Who knows all the things that could be wrong with it, you know? So it saves a lot of time during the transaction to have that stuff already figured out, so that way you don't have to deal with it and possibly, then worry about credits and repairs and all this other stuff. So
No, I agree 100%. I think that's a great idea how in the Bay Area, there's always a pre-listing inspection report. And so now every buyer that comes through the door, they already know what's wrong with the home. They don't have to guess if or but something is wrong with the home before proceeding with submitting an offer, So I thought that was pretty cool. And because I got in contact with a few listing agents that was from the Bay Area, that's what they were used to doing. And man, those transactions were straightforward. We knew everything going in. So I agree with you. I think that's a pretty good idea, but a lot of reasons behind why owners locally here don't do it is because they don't want to pay for that and they prefer to just sell it as is. Like right now, we see a lot of homes that's on the market and they just say, buyers, you can do the inspections, but we're selling as is. Take it or leave it. So that's probably the biggest reason.
I've heard
But
that a
I
lot.
yeah, but we do have a question, Chai. I'm gonna get back to you on that. Okay, well, let me go through this market update real quick, Chai, and I would answer your comment. Okay, thanks again for the question, buddy. All right, so current month, year to date compared to last year, 48% decrease inventory. New listings are down 39%, 31% decrease in sold homes. Pending homes are down 26% year to date compared to last year. All right, moving on. Average price per square foot, pretty steady from the chart. Last week, it did go up 1%. Average price per square foot. From last month, the increase is 2.4%. From last year, same time, a little bit up, a little bit past 0.5%. Okay. Year to date, it is down 5.7% average price per square foot. Days on the market, pretty steady from last week. It did go up by 1 day, so 22 days on average for a home to go pending once it hits the market. 100% of sellers are getting what they're asking for the moment they put it on the market. As long as it's marketed and priced correctly, they will be getting 100% of what they're asking for based off of this data. From last month, there is an increase on days on the market by like 3 days. So that's 16%. Okay. Last month, average days on the market was 18 days. This month, 21 days. Not too far off. It's still a seller's market. Homes are still going pretty quick. From last year, it's actually down. Okay. 21 days versus 23 years last year in 2022. So there's something to think about there. Again, 100% of sellers are still getting what they're asking for. Year to date, on average, it looks like it's 33 days on average year to date compared to last year. It was 17 days year to date. Okay. 99% of sellers were still getting what they're asking for year to date compared to last year. It was a little bit more than 102%. So a lot of sellers were probably getting over asking. That's what the data here shows. Let's go to average price sold and for sale. I'm sorry, you guys, if I'm going quick, it's because we have a lot of things to cover today. If you guys want me to repeat anything or go over anything in detail, just let me know in the live chat below. Okay. Look at that chart. Okay. I want to see that dip. Okay. So active price, it did go up from last week, 0.4%. Sold went down 7%. Ooh. All right, that's interesting. See, that's from last week. Now, last month, active price is down compared to last month by 1.7%. Sold price actually went up 4% compared to last month. Now, I like looking at this data monthly compared to weekly because weekly is just too short of a time span to see data averages. The monthly is more accurate. Okay, so if you can like if you see here, it's a 4% increase from last month. On average, right now, homes being sold in Sacramento County is $613,000. Okay, that's like the median price right now, y'all. Even though rates are going up, which Lisa's gonna show y'all in a bit, prices are still going up. Year to date, active price from last year comparison is up 13%. Sold price is up 3.7% compared to last year. There you go. That's a good comparison right there as well. Now, year to date, meaning from January all the way to August this year compared to last year, we have an increase of 13% on active price, decrease of 4.6% on sold price. Okay. Now, let's go to the month's worth of inventory. I like to show this because this lets everybody know what type of market we're in. And this is from the current month. It doesn't show August, so let's just go straight down here. We are at 1.4 months worth of inventory, you guys. It's very low. Okay. Again, I'm going to say it all the time until this gets to 3.0, which equals 3 months worth of inventory. It's still going to be a seller's market. Okay. Compared to last year, way less inventory compared to last year. 1.9, 1.4. Year to date, very low inventory compared to last year to date. 1.8 last year, 1.3 this year. This is a reason why prices are up. Okay? This is why. And that is the market update, everybody. Questions? Lisa, Charles, guests, viewers? If not, Lisa, you can go ahead and share your screen if you want to share some data based off of mortgages.
Absolutely. Okay, let me go ahead and share my screen.
Yeah, how was your Friday so far, Lisa? You've been quiet this
It's
whole
been
time.
good. It's good. Friday is always a great day, right, guys?
Yeah, it
And
is.
for rates wise, guys, it wasn't good today. Okay, this whole entire week has been even more volatile than it usually is. And if you can see right here, the 30-year fix is now on average at 7.37, guys. FHA is already at the 7% mark and everything like
Yeah.
that. And based on all of the data that you just shared too, Chia, we are still low in inventory, which means if you're waiting for it to be a buyer's market, not just yet. We're still in a deceleration market, which means the home prices are going up still. They're just going up at a much slower pace. For this to catch up, a lot of people right now are priced out just because their debt to income ratio is too high. The interest rate went too high. If you got pre-qualified a month, 2 months ago, you might want to go ahead and reevaluate that situation and see where you currently stand now. It is very common for buyers to buy down the interest rates right now because it seems like it's more likely to go up than it's going to go down. One of the things that affect this is the job market. And when the job report just came out last week, ironically, it shows that our employment rate is actually quite low. And even though it's low, you have to think about this too. There's so many companies that's going that's laying off people. If you're talking about intermediate management or upper management, higher executive positions, Microsoft, Yahoo, we already talked about how many layoffs that has already happened. Entry-level positions still are a lot out there, guys. I mean, there's a huge gap difference in income when it comes to those job reports. And it does affect that. The better the job market looks, the higher the interest rates usually tend to go as well. And again, it's definitely skewed. So definitely pinch as many pennies as you possibly can right now. Either way, the reason why people are still buying a lot, guys, is because your landlords are going to continue to increase rent because their mortgage is also high as well. So take this information and understand the reason why it's still a competitive market is because people are still buying.
That is true. And What I'm seeing in the market, Lisa, too, is the only inventory that's coming to the market is by sellers that are older.
Hmm.
Because they probably don't have a mortgage on that home, and they've probably passed away and passed their assets to their kids, and their kids don't want to keep it. They sell it. Those are the type of listings I'm seeing. And two, investors.
Yeah,
In-
investors are
investors.
offloading it because they're
Mhm.
not just their rate of return monthly is not high enough, so they're just cashing out, putting it into another, putting it to bonds. Bonds are actually doing quite well right now. So there's a couple of other investments that people are feeling it's a little bit more safe than the real estate market. So they're going to exchange that.
Yeah, I don't know. This market is so weird. There's so much going on,
Yeah.
But thanks for sharing the rates. That is the market update for you guys.
Yeah.
Again, questions, anything like that, just let us know in the live chat below. We would love to answer your questions. And speaking of questions, good segue to Chai's comment. You guys see that? Chai says, ask him after seeing a lot of homes, what's one thing he see that will walk away from a deal? That's for you, Charles.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. A lot of times nowadays, things that would make people walk from deals. Now, again, I don't always hear about this, but I've got some agents that I speak to so regularly that I know what happens even with their transaction after the fact. But things that were making people walk before, like for example, the type of piping the house has. It's not so much the home inspection that's causing it. It's more of the financing aspect where maybe something happened to where their loan didn't go through or something like that. There's always something else, but
Mm,
um, most of the time nowadays, I mean, people are they're going and buying the house regardless, even if there are items that maybe they wouldn't have been fine with before. Like for example, home piping. When the piping is old and galvanized, and there's a lot of sediment in the lines, and the water's not flowing very properly, very well. They might ask the seller to repipe or give them a credit so that they can repipe. Or if the home has maybe one of those, recalled PEX style pipes, Durapex, High-Tech, any of those, they would try
mm,
to get the seller to pay a credit or pay to repipe that. And again, the sellers are like, no, I'm good. You can buy my house as is, whatever you want, And so
right.
I haven't really seen as many people walking for these home inspection items and these pest inspection items. A lot of it sometimes is if there's a huge number on a pest repair. Like if there's like a lot of rot, maybe a deck that's just completely trashed, or like heavy termites. But it's really much less because of the way the market is right now. People are buying regardless and dealing with the problems and just saying, "Oh, I'll mess with it later because I just need to get into this house." Because of the way the market is right now, people are buying.
Yeah. I see that too. I think one of the biggest things that buyer sees on the report that will cause them to walk away from a deal as an agent is big major items. But that was like before this year, because this year, like what you were saying earlier, a lot of sellers are accommodating these repairs now because the market has changed, right? So buyers now are not submitting offers with no inspection contingencies now. They're coming in, they're keeping all contingencies, and they're doing the inspections in a timely manner. And when they get the reports back and they send a repair request, sellers are more accommodating now. So it's causing less buyers to walk away. I think the only thing that could cause a buyer to walk away now is appraisals, because we've been getting a lot of appraisals that's coming back short, right, Lisa? And like when appraisals come back short, if the seller is fixing everything already and the seller doesn't want, and they have to reduce, some sellers might be like, you know what? I wanna I wanna redraw and redo a appraisal. If the appraisal doesn't come back in my favor, then I'll think about reducing. But if it does, then I want to redo it in appraisal inspection. So that's what me and Lisa dealt with before. So last year when it was really competitive and buyers were submitting offers with no inspection contingencies, or even with little short term inspection contingencies, that was a year I was seeing more buyers back out due to any sort of repairs. It doesn't even have to be big. It could just be like minor items, but it added a total cost that was just too much for a buyer to want to fork out. They will walk away from that, you know? So different times right now. But I think uh one thing maybe Chai is also asking about is, from the deals that you do see buyers walking away from, what are those items?
Typically, it's those things that I mentioned before, and then same
It's the
thing.
plumbing.
Yeah, like the type of piping, or like you said, big major items. Maybe the roof is really damaged, or maybe there's just something that the seller just refuses to fix, but the damage is so bad that they know they're going to have to come out of pocket to fix it, and the seller's just not willing to give the money for that. It's typically large ticket items, like you said, but I just did one recently with a home that had Kitech in it, and it didn't matter. They said, well, we'll just deal with it. And I've actually had that happen a lot more often, where, I know there's a lot of different things. Insurance companies are covering items, and, they're using different methods to figure out, if something leaks and all that. But piping was always a big thing. I mean, I remember, in the past when I would inspect a home, I would actually literally go in because I knew the area, and I would literally go in and say, hey, do you want me to just let you know what kind of piping the house has? And then if it has this, I won't even do the inspection. I won't charge you. We'll just
Mm,
finish this up, and then that way you don't have to worry about it, because they didn't want anything to do with
mm,
Kitech. So
yeah, that was a big thing. I do remember Kitech just for that reason. Everybody was talking about that in a certain particular area. But
it's
why don't you walk us? Go ahead.
well, I was just going to say, it's actually a little bit more widespread than you'd think. I mean, it's really in multiple different areas. There's definitely an area that it's pretty prevalent in, but yeah, it's all over the place in a bunch of different counties.
Yeah. I think it was built during the era, right? Everybody was using it just because it was the item to use, I guess. So that's what happens, y'all. It's just kind of like recalls on vehicles, right? But why don't you walk us through what you do on a normal like inspection? Somebody calls you up, you're going out there. What do you do? What do you look for? What are your items, your checklist, all that?
So, I mean, I would typically start on the outside, but obviously there's always all these different things. So when we go in, we're going to be on the outside first. Typically, we're going to look at the roof. We're going to look at, all the exterior. Make sure there's no evidence of any areas where water can get into the home. Even though we're not, as a home inspector, we're not looking for dry rot and things of that nature. Obviously, if there's damage, that's allowing there to be voids and allowing there to be any kind of way that either animals or water can get in. We'll look for that. We'll check the integrity of the just the entire outside, the windows. We'll check all of the different plumbing fixtures that come in, whether or not it be gas or water. We'll also check the electric panel. We'll check the line coming in for the electrical from the city, whatever it is, if it's on a pole, if it's in a older area, or if it's coming through from underground. We'll check that. Um, Really just getting a good look on the entire outside of the home. One of the things that I definitely wanted to specifically mention is, I think a lot of people think that we are able to see other things that we can't. So, for example, when we're inside the house, we do not remove and move around a bunch of furniture and carpets and things like that. So, honestly, my favorite inspection to do is a home that's vacant, because I can see everything at that point. But a home that's fully occupied, and especially if it's got somebody that's just really got a lot of stuff, and they have just a lot of stuff in their closets, and they got a lot of stuff all over the floors and stuff, we really aren't going to be able to do the same amount of the same quality of an inspection that we'd be able to do otherwise. There's a lot of outlets we can't test. There might be a big stain or a big damage or something like that underneath a rug or behind a bed or something like that we just can't see. And it's unfortunate, but because everybody can't just leave their home vacant when they're going to sell it. It's just not
Right.
feasible for most people. So that's what we have to do. So we obviously do our best. That's why those final walkthroughs are always important. But then by then you're already off of your inspection contingency. So you know So anyways, but then after that, so coming back into the house, I mean, we're going to check the water heater. We're going to check all the equipment for proper operation. We'll go inside in the attic. We'll check for, the operation of the air conditioning and heating equipment. We'll check all the kitchen appliances. A lot of companies might not check the sprinklers. We typically always check the irrigation sprinklers as well on the outside, just to make sure they're functioning right. Even if there's things that are technically obvious to someone else, like cracking and like lifting to sidewalks and things of that nature, we'll still mention that thing, just because, when you have somebody that's buying a house and their minds on so many different things, like the financing and their move and their job and all this other stuff, it's like they're not really thinking about all that. And so when we come in and we explain it all, puts things in a little bit more of a, of one place where they can just kind of figure everything out and then talk about it at the same time, right? We check even like the garage door opener and the laundry room, and I mean, just all that. We check into almost everything, anything that's visible that we can operate, but we don't diagnose anything. And that's another thing that I think that some people have a misconception of, is that when I'm operating an air conditioning and heating system, I'm going to operate it the same way that you do. The only difference is I'm being paid to come in and do everything at the same time.
Right.
And then I'm also checking all these other different items that you might not even think to check, right? Just because this is my experience. I'm not an HVAC technician. I don't install and repair air conditioning systems all the time. The thing that sets some home inspectors apart from others is their personal experiences. Somebody that just comes in and that learns, from being trained, is not going to have the same knowledge and the same experience that someone that's been in the trades for years, because they have experience and they've been able to actually work on or repair or actually know what they're talking about. And so those are the people that you want: somebody that's had lots of experience, somebody that's actually very versed in the things that they're talking about. You can also obviously just be an inspector and maybe have been an inspector for 20 years, but you keep yourself well informed. You read a lot of books, you look at a lot of different things. But it's very important to have somebody experienced. Just like it's important to have an experienced realtor or an experienced mortgage person. It's very, very important for that, because these are all the things that we're going to look into, and we're going to give you the most information possible so that you can make this decision properly.
Okay. You mentioned like experienced inspector versus like somebody that just joined. Can anybody become a home inspector? Because I've heard people say that there's no license required, right?
No. So in California, many other states have a license, just like the Structural Pest Board is who governs over pest inspectors. So termite inspectors, pest, anything having to do with anything pest related, they have to be licensed. They have to test. They have to do all these things, right? So again, same thing, very important. Home inspectors do not have to be licensed. You can literally just take a test. You don't even have to do that, honestly. You can just say, hey, look at me, I'm a home inspector, and then go out and inspect homes, as long as somebody trusts you enough to do it, right? So it's very important to look at the background and to have somebody that's very experienced. Again, that's where all of our recommendations and our referrals come from, because when you know that you have somebody that's good, and you trust them because they know what they're talking about, and you get a referral like that from somebody, that's why it's important. But what we usually do, home inspectors, what every home inspector should at least have, is they should have some kind of certification. And there's multiple different certifications, and they all, come with continuing education and all that. But again, just like any other contractor, I mean, you can be a handyman and you can be a contractor. You have to have a little bit more experience behind that. But even with being a realtor, you can take the test, and that doesn't mean that you're an amazing realtor, right? You can take the test and be a pest inspector, and that doesn't mean you're an amazing pest inspector. It's the same thing. But what it comes down to is really it's just the experience, and having someone be able to recommend you somebody that is good, that has great experience. That's what's very key. Same thing with realtors, right? Somebody takes care of their client, they're amazing, they know how to deal with all the different documents and all the different things that'll come up. That's when it's important. You got to have somebody that's experienced. That's what's the most important when you're dealing with these transactions.
I agree. That's so funny. You just reminded me of a story. One of my family members called up handyman, right? A person that's been doing it, knows what he's doing. They came in, they wanted to remove a beam or a wall, right? And open up the living room and kitchen. The dude comes out, the dude goes, "Oh yeah, this is like $300. I'll do it." And my sister's like, "Oh my god, $300? Everybody's been quoting me like thousands of dollars. You know what? Heck yeah, you got the job." And it took this dude like months to finish because he realized he didn't know what the heck he was doing. And he realized that he quoted them something that should have been 10x what he originally quoted them. And and so right now he realized, shoot, he's gonna lose money on this job. So then he just shows up whenever he wants. And so my family member tries to call him. He doesn't pick up. He tells my family member, "Yeah, we'll show up during this time." Doesn't show up during that time. He just literally just shows up randomly, and be like, "Okay, I'm ready to work on the project," you know. And so it's finally done. Thank God everything's done, and the roof didn't cave in. Everything's done, but that was a horrible experience. And then that family member came up to me and literally just said, "Chia, you were right. You get what you pay for."
Mm-hmm.
You do, you know? And so going back to what I was saying earlier, anybody could become a home inspector. So imagine if like you don't have any reference, or you just don't have any reference, and you're a homeowner, and you're just curious about your home, and you go on Craigslist or even Facebook Market. Oh my gosh, I hate Facebook Market. But anyways, you go on there and you call somebody and they say, "Oh heck yeah, I'll come and inspect your home right now." They come
$150.
out
$150.
not even $150, $50. And now the seller's like, "Oh heck yeah, somebody was gonna charge me $150. You're charging me 50. You got the job, inspector." They go out, don't know what the heck they doing. So I wholeheartedly believe that. You get what you pay for. You gotta call somebody that you could trust, and then get a reference. Like, talk to some of their past clients to see what they have to say about that person that you're about to hire. Same goes with the agent, a lender like Lisa, and anybody else. But man, that is so funny, dude. What about repairs? You guys, as home inspector, you guys don't do repairs.
No, home inspectors will if any home inspector tells you that they're going to do repairs on your house, they're violating not only just ethics standards, but typically most of the certifications that we have will not allow that. So there shouldn't be any home inspector that's going to tell you, "Hey, I'm going to be able to repair this for you after the fact," because regardless if we're not licensed or not, we still have a code of ethics that we need to follow, and that's just one of those things that we are not supposed to do.
Good to know. Good to know. You guys hear that, Chi fans? If you guys hire a home inspector, they want to do repairs also, be on the lookout. it's it's gonna be like a big can of worms opening in the future. So just FYI. That's
I
why I
mean,
asked.
we can always suggest a good person that a contractor or a handyman that we trust, but yeah, we as a company, as the companies themselves, they can't actually do the work. Now when it comes to pest repairs, that's a whole different story, because again, there's a license requirement and there's a lot more that goes into it with that, and they're governed by that board, where there's nothing for home inspectors, right? So that's the reason
Mhm.
why, because in many other states, home inspectors can do repairs and home inspectors can do some of those other items. It's just because of the way that California is what keeps us from being able to do that here.
So pest inspectors, aren't pest inspection reports public?
They are.
Yeah.
Now, the thing that
I
people
know.
don't understand is they don't know that, but you have to go. If you want a pest inspection, you can go to the board. If you can find out all the pest inspections that have ever been done on that house, and you can look them up. So if somebody tries to hide something, if you're going to buy a house and maybe the seller doesn't want to give you, and they don't want to tell you anything because they're trying to not disclose things, you can always go to the pest board and look up a report for yourself to see what pest reports have been done on that house before. And it's public. It's publicly. It's just like the records of selling a house. It's the same thing. You can go on there and look for whatever you want, and no one can tell you anything. It doesn't matter who paid for it. You can get access to it if you want.
Just like permits.
Hmm.
If you're pulling permits, it becomes public record now. Okay, so everybody now knows what you did to the house or did not do.
Did not do. Yes, most cases did
Yeah.
not do.
So what about missed items? Like you just got done completing a home inspection, Charles, and buyer moves in or whatever, and there's missed items. Like they found out something that occurred while they moved in, but it was not on your report. How do home inspectors normally deal with that?
Yeah, it really just depends on the company, honestly. Most home inspection companies have some kind of agreement that basically states that, whatever the home inspector missed as part of that inspection would be, basically be considered that you can have whatever the amount that you paid back for the inspection, right? So that's the agreement that most people sign when they get a home inspection done. Now, that being said, most of the time these items are pretty simple. And honestly, for myself, I prefer to speak with the client, talk to them, find out what's going on. And depending on what it is, my thing is I want to make it right. If I personally miss something on your home that was in my range of scope of things to look at, and I missed it, I want to do
Mm.
whatever I can to make it right for you. And that's the way I've functioned for years. It doesn't matter, where it is, who I work for, whatever it is. That's just the way it should be as a home inspector. I'm going to do such a great job to begin with as your home inspector that if I miss something, I want to try to do whatever I can to make that right.
Mm.
And if it's kind of ridiculous, then yeah, I'll give you a refund, and again, I'll do whatever I can to appease the situation. But that's the thing, is most of the time the home inspection companies, especially if it's one of those fly by night inspectors, maybe that's just a one man show and they don't really care about whatever happens. They paid you $200, right, or whatever it is. They're going to give you back your $200, or they'll just ignore you. Tell you to pound sand. They
Yeah.
don't care. So again, makes it very important why you need to make sure you have a great referenced home inspector. You don't want to just get whatever comes out there and whoever's the cheapest. Don't look at whoever's the cheapest, because that is not the way to go. You need to have somebody that's experienced.
Unless the person that you really, really trust and used before gives you a discount. That's a big difference, okay? Don't just go with the cheapest.
Yes.
Okay, good to know. Oh man, I just had a question and I totally forgot. Oh yeah. So some lenders require like VAs, okay? VAs. Some lenders require Section 1 clearance. Okay, so can you explain what Section 1 is to the viewers?
So Section 1 on a termite inspection are going to be things that, like for example, dry rot, termites. Those are all things that are Section 1. I'm not 100% sure because I always screw this up. I believe that water leaks that can cause damage to the home are Section 2, but Section 1 are going to be actual dry fungus that's growing right now, that dry rot that's damaging right now, and termites, whether or not it be subterranean or beetles or drywoods, something that has to do with termites right now. That's what Section 1 is.
Yeah, the reason I bring that up is because a lot of FHA buyers and VA buyers that are utilizing that type of mortgage requires Section 1. Oh, what is that noise? Is that me? Oh, it's coming from Lisa.
Oh, that's kind of strange. I muted mine too. I have a bunch of kids gaming on the other side of the house. So I hope you guys don't hear that, but I'm hoping that I can mute it so you guys don't have to hear that.
Nope, I definitely heard it. No worries. All
Sorry,
good. I
guys.
get it. I get it. Kids, I get it. Maybe I'll just mute yours when you're quiet. Yeah, like that. Okay, so what was I saying? Yeah,
Section 1.
Section 1. Some buyers that are utilizing the FHA financing or VA, VA especially, they're super strict, right, Lisa? And they require Section 1 items to be cleared. So can you explain how a home that has Section 1 items, how those items get cleared and how that process works?
Yeah, so basically, when you hire a pest company to do an inspection on your home, they're going to come in. They're going to look for termites. They're going to look for any kind of wood destroying organisms or insects or anything of that nature. And then they're also going to look for water leaks, things like that, things that can cause problems later on, right? And I believe there's other things like, for example, like if you have any kind of soil or wood or anything like that like bark up against wood, that would be a section 2 because that's something that can
Mm-hmm.
lead to a section 1 item.
Mm-hmm.
So anyways, after that's done, so for example, let's say you have subterranean termites, or let's say you have some dry rot or some fungus growth underneath a toilet that was leaking, in a bathroom or something of that nature. So usually what happens then is you'll need to have someone that's trained and properly licensed to come in and take care of certain items. Like, for example, you can't just have anybody come in and do a termite treatment. You can't just say, "Well, I've treated it. I scraped away
Right.
the termite tubes, so now you can clear it." Right? No. So what has to happen is after there's evidence of termites, then it has to be treated. If it's drywood termites, or if it's beetles, then typically those items would need to the house would need to be tinted because those types of termites are in the wood, right? Subterranean termites are in the soil, and so the soil can be treated. And again, forgive me if I'm skewing any of this. I'm pretty positive most of this is because I've been in this, these trades for years, and so I've worked around a lot of pest inspectors, and so I'm pretty sure this is mostly all of the
Oh
way it
yeah,
works.
that's
But
right. You're not a licensed pest inspector yet.
I am not. I am not. Well, I
That's
never will be. I'm going to be. My partner, Leo. He's a licensed. He's our operator. So
got it.
these are just things. These are just things that I know based on our business and what we've done over the years. So the next thing you have to do is then you have to either get someone else to make these repairs. Let's say there's dry rot, it has to be removed properly, and then in order for that to be signed off by said company, you have to be able to look at what's been done. So they have to open it up. Let's say they say I need further investigation. You have to open it up, and then the person has to come back and take a look at it and then view it and make sure that everything's been removed properly, and then they have to repair it, and then you have to look at it again to make sure everything's right. But that's why a lot of times it's a lot easier to just have the pest company do it because they're going to sign it all off, and they're going to state and license because they're licensed. They're going to say, "Hey, I did all this properly because I know what I'm doing. I'm licensed. I'm governed by this board." And so not only you're going to have if you have somebody else do it, a lot of times you're going to have the person come back out, and they're going to charge a fee because they have to look at it and all this other stuff. A lot of times they still get a lot of these repairs done. They're just on the surface, like rot on a siding or maybe a barge rafter. That stuff's easy. You don't have to look into it. You don't have to get into it to reinspect that.
Right.
Or maybe if it's like fungus in a crawl space, you can have somebody come back and do a reinspection and then look at those items to see if they've been properly corrected. But again, unless you have a licensed pest company give you a tag and say, "Hey, I've treated this house," you can't sign off on something like that. Right. So after those items are then corrected, then the original inspector will typically come back out, reinspect all the items that can be reinspected as section 1, and then they will say, "Okay, well, these items have been completed," and then you have a completed section 1.
You guys hear that, people? So if you guys are a buyer right now, you guys are utilizing FHA loan or VA, especially VA. Be sure to remember that before submitting an offer on a home, if you guys notice any of these items like dry rot, termite tunnels, or anything like that on the home, like just kind of be prepared for all of this because it can be a lot. Like one of my last clients that we had to go through a section 1 clearance where there was termite tunnels involved. It was a house in Stockton. Man, they had to clear like $10,000 worth of termite damages. Okay, so it can be costly. And I think that's why, as homeowners, if you guys are watching this, it's important to like paint your house pretty often when you notice it needs painting, repair dry rots, things like that. Treat your house because if the home is older, you're gonna want to treat it and have like a pest control company come out and just spray it every quarter or so. I do it in my house personally because the moment I stop, my wife notices bugs all of a sudden. So I do it for that purpose. And of course, it's just maintenance, right? And these maintenance items, when you stop doing them, it leads to bigger items being needed in the future. And sometimes that time is when you are about to sell your home. When you're about to sell your home, and the buyer, if you're not doing a pre-listing inspection with Charles and them, and the buyer actually orders one, and now all these items come out, it's gonna be money coming out of your pocket now, or the buyer's might cancel. So something to think about. It's super important, but I don't think a lot of people think about it nearly enough, so that's why I wanted Charles to come here, talk about it, give you guys more of his insight on it, and we could talk more about it because it can be a big deal. It can. And what about new builds, Charles? New builds, they're brand new, you don't need to inspect them, right?
That's definitely not the case. I wanted to piggyback on what you were saying there really quick. That's probably the biggest problem on any home inspection is deferred maintenance, things that haven't been done, things that are small that got left alone, and then they turn into huge items that are now hundreds, thousands of dollars later. Like you said, the painting, the ceiling, all of that stuff. It's maintenance that's so cheap, so easy to do, but just people don't do it, right? But yeah, speaking on new builds, this is the other thing, right? So I've done many, many new build inspections. I've found so many awful things like, for example, speaking on air conditioning and heating systems, condensate leaks so that the air conditioning always is going to create condensation while it's running. And there's pipes in your attic to route that condensation to an exterior location. So it's not going to ruin the wood members in your attic, right? Lines not hooked up properly, lines where they're dripping, just plumbing fixtures in bathrooms that leak, gas leaks, improperly wired switches, all kinds of things we see. Now, I know that there's building inspectors and there's all these people from the county and all of that come in, but I'm telling you, everybody's human. They're going to miss things. It's always good to have a third party come in and look over again after some of the stuff. New builds are horrible, especially nowadays. I've seen so many things on new builds that should have never, been accepted. And then sometimes we find great ones and they're fine. But I would never suggest that anyone skip one just because the builder tells you that it's fine. And they will give you a hard time. They do not want anybody coming in as a third party and messing up their deal.
Lord.
Oh gosh, but it's important. It's very important because I'll tell you, the same things that happen and the same things that are preventative, for example, the way that the gutters are installed, the way that the flashing's installed, there's a lot of things. We even do pre-drywall inspections. There's things that we're seeing before that they just slap the drywall over and nobody knows because you can't see it. Only until several years later it becomes a problem, right? So, when you're buying a house, whether or not you're buying a pre-owned house, and then you're just getting, due diligence things, there's all these different types of inspections that you should have done. But on a brand new house that's being built, do not just trust that these builders and that these independent people that they have on their staff are going to actually inspect it properly. You got to have a third party come in. It's really a good idea, honestly, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. I had a client bought a brand new build a few years ago. It wasn't that long. It was like probably 2-3 years ago. And we already had issues with the process going in, and it took a lot of delays, and they finally got the keys, and then they moved in, and they came to realize there was a lot of stuff that was missed, and a bunch of homeowners in that community that bought are all complaining now for the same things that's happening to every homeowner because it was missed. And so my question to you is, the county comes out, the city comes out and check these items, the foundations and all these items before giving permits out, right? So like, how are these items missed?
I don't know if it's just that, they're just fast walking some of these things or I mean, obviously they're supposed to be checking everything. Not only that, Chia, they also have independent people on their staff that are checking these items too. So there's multiple people that are coming in and looking at these items. And for the most part, they get a lot of stuff done. But for example, if you have a tradesman that's a brand new, apprentice, electrician, plumber, whatever it is, and maybe he had his guy over here doing the work and he signed off on it or whatever. I mean, there's so many different things, but everybody has a bad day, or maybe somebody didn't feel like doing a really deep inspection that day, or maybe they were coming back. I mean, I've had permits done for water heaters where the guy literally just walked up the driveway, looked at it from the driveway, and then walked back to his car, like just literally turned around.
What?
I'm like, why did I even get a permit for this? I should have just done it
Yeah.
myself. Like walked up the driveway. As he's walking up, he's like gets halfway up my driveway, and then towards the end, and then he looks at it, and then he just turns around and walks back. And I'm like, that's it? Like, that's all you're gonna do? So I'm sure that there's other situations, I know that they look at a lot of detail, but these guys are looking at hundreds of homes.
Yeah.
You know, I know that some are better than others. It's just like a home inspector. It's just like a real estate agent. It's just like anybody else.
Yeah.
Sometimes you
Here,
get a good person. Sometimes you get somebody that's not really doing the best.
you any comment on that, Lisa?
I mean, I don't think that we could say it any other way, right? Any way different. I mean, in our business, it's just you made a reference in one of the videos too, Tia. It's like playing poker. Everybody can start, not everybody can actually master it.
Yep.
So you do get what you
Yeah.
pay for. Definitely vet your people, have a conversation with them, build a relationship as they're trying to build a relationship with you, build a relationship with them as well, because people tend to do a better job when they like you as well. It goes both ways, right?
Yeah, and a person that you trust would, if they
Mhm.
don't know what they're doing, they would tell you straight up and say, "Hey, look, I don't know what I'm doing. So just so you know, if you hire me, um, it's just purely for experience purposes." And it's okay. It's okay because sometimes I'll have clients that come up to me and they want me to help them in a certain area, and I'll just tell them straight up. I think is I'm just not gonna give you any good service over there because I don't know that area. And two, like, um, because I don't know that area, I'm not gonna be able to negotiate for you, and you're just gonna miss out on a lot of opportunities. So I'll I've let deals slide by me because of my honesty. I'll let people know straight up that, hey, I appreciate you wanting me to work with you and all that, but then I think it's probably best for you to find somebody else in your area, and it's okay to do that.
It's
And I
absolutely
think
okay to do that. And that's the difference between integrity and not, right? Sometimes if you know that you're not the best in that area, you take that hit just to give that client still the best service, even though you can't technically service them. But honesty is also a part of our service business. And really, for any of you guys who want to be in the lending business, who want to be in real estate, who wants to be home inspection, of any part of this, the best way to learn is to shadow somebody that's been in the business for quite some time. So sometimes you'll see inspectors go out. You got somebody that's willing to teach the trade. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing. And that's really where people should get started instead of going out there and just sink or swim on your own and somebody else has to
winging.
pay for that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, most of the time it's your clients that's paying for
Yeah.
it.
You got people's
Yeah.
lives in your hands. You got people's lives in your
Yeah.
hands. You got it. Like biggest thing, I totally agree with you, Lisa.
Mhm.
You vet vet your people, talk to them, ask them what their experience is, ask them how long they've been doing it, get to know them, get all the information before you just make that decision. It's a huge decision. It might not cost, I mean, when you think of it relatively, right? A home inspection, what is it? 5, 6, $700, depending on how big your house is and all the other services you're getting, that's fine. But you're buying a house, and now with these interest rates and these prices, you're $500,000 at least, right?
Mhm.
And it's like, this is a huge decision. You need to make sure that the agent, that the mortgage person, that the lender, whatever it is, the home inspector, the pest inspector, you need to make sure that you know that these people are going to take care of you and they're going to properly represent you. That's really what you need.
Absolutely.
100%. Now, Charles, what areas do you service, or are you only in Sacramento County?
No, actually, I just did one up in Kirkwood the other day. That was a fun drive. It
Really?
was
Oh,
so cool at
Kirkwood.
Kirkwood. Yeah, no, it was really nice up there too. I'll pretty much go anywhere in Northern California. I'm not really too keen on going to the Bay Area, but I mean it just depends. If I know somebody that just needs good service and I get a request in. I mean it kind of just depends on what's going on. But going 2-3 hours for an inspection, it's a lot to do that, especially when I can try to help people that are closer. But typically, this vicinity is where we service. But like I said, if especially if it's an agent that I know trusts me and that needs an inspection in an area that no one else will go to, I'll usually service those areas just because I know that they need. I've been to Merced before for an agent,
Mm.
just because I knew that they didn't know anybody else and they just really trusted me. So um, and it just really depends. But most of the time, generally speaking, yeah, I usually stick to somewhere about a 60 to an 80-mile radius around here, in the Sacramento area, Roseville.
And if somebody that's watching this show wants to reach out to you for inspection in their local, how would they get a hold of you?
So you can send me an email at charles@trifectahomeservices.com, or you can give our office a call. 800-610-3457. Usually, email or phone is the best way to get a hold of me. I also have my personal text, 916-509-2641. If you just need an inspection, you can always call me directly, text me directly. Plus, I'm on Instagram too, Facebook, all that good stuff. Yeah.
Sounds good, buddy. Well, I appreciate you coming on the show today, Charles. Like again, throughout all these years, I always reach out to you whenever I need something, and you've always kind of gotten back to me within a timely manner. So I really do appreciate that. And hopefully, we get to do more jobs together.
Yeah. And like I told you before, I'd love to come on here and do some more education. That's probably the thing that I love the most, is being able to talk to, people about, this process and educating them. So I'd love to be able to do this with you more often. I'm available anytime. Just give me a call.
Yeah, for sure. I remember you mentioning that, and um, I would love to have you on the show as much as I can. So
Yeah.
you never know. You never know. I mean, look at Lisa. Before she was like a once in the blue moon thing, but then now it's like she's on every show. So
And I
all right,
definitely
man.
love
Well,
it.
yeah, it's definitely a good thing to kind of give back. It's just educate everybody. That's really why I'm here too. Is I just want everybody to kind of be educated about the process of buying and selling, and sometimes it involves more than just buying a home. It involves getting a loan. It involves getting a home inspection and all of that. So I'm glad you're able to join today.
Absolutely.
But with that being said, I think that's a good way to end the show. It's really over an hour, and I'm pretty sure you guys got things to do. It is a Friday night, so I'm gonna let everybody go. Sounds good?
Sounds good.
All right. You guys take care, Chi Chi fams. Catch you guys next time. Peace out.